Another attribute that I have seen in leaders that I emulate is courage. I really believe that the landscape that we're in presents challenges, and leaders can't be intimidated or faint of heart at all. They have to be willing to take on the big challenges, make the tough decisions, recognize that it's not easy. It's a calling. It's not something that everyone should do. I really truly believe that if you don't have the right passion and purpose and drive and reason, the right why for being a leader, then don't do it, because there are too many people that rely on you to do it with integrity, to be courageous.
Welcome to the People Powered Solutions podcast. In this show, you'll gain expert advice and tips on building a thriving workplace culture with happy employees. I'm your host, Lorianne Duguay, and I'm thrilled to be spending this time with you today. Hello, and welcome to another episode of People Powered Podcast. We are continuing our series, folks, of showcasing companies and organizations who are doing some great things relevant to workplace culture, leadership-wise. We just want to be able to share the wealth and help provide you as a business owner, as a CEO, with some quick tips, strategies, and actual solutions to some of your ongoing challenges by sharing what other companies are doing, by sharing the secret sauce, if you will, of other companies. And today we welcome the Chief Operating Officer of Sonora Quest Laboratories, Sonya Engle. She is going to share with us the amazing things that this company has been doing relevant to improving that entire employee experience. They have awards. They've won multiple awards for the work they've been doing with this company. Welcome, Sonya.
Thank you, Lori. I'm so glad to be here, and thank you for the opportunity to talk with you.
I'm always excited with when companies are on board to come in and have this chat and share. I feel that if you're doing something really well, it's important to share it with others. There's no need to kind of hide your secret sauce. I think the proof is in the pudding when you're able to attract, when you're able to keep those higher performing employees. Well, it's already saying to others that you're doing something right. So why not share and be able to help us achieve our mission of improving and creating as many happy and thriving workplace cultures out there as possible. Sonya, before we get started, how about you give our listeners a bit of context in terms of how Sonya got to doing what Sonya is doing today?
Okay. Well, my story, my journey to Sonora Quest Laboratories, and just for your listeners, Sonora Quest Laboratories is the largest integrated delivery network in the United States, and that is a organization comprised of our two parent partners. One is Banner Health, and that's about 50,000 employees, a hospital system, 35 hospitals in 6 states.
Wow, really
huge
small.
reach. Yeah, really. Exactly. And not for profit. And then our other parent partner, Quest Diagnostics, is one of the national leaders in the clinical laboratory space. Again, about 50,000 employees too, for profit, traded on the New York Stock Exchange. So we have these two parent partners. My journey started on the Quest Diagnostics side. A big part of my career was spent there. I grew up in Philadelphia, went to school in University of Maryland in College Park, but I wanted to be a doctor. Long story short, fast forward, I love healthcare. I love serving and caring for people. Discovered Laboratory as a place to truly make a difference and serve the community, really enjoy the science and problem solving. And so I found a great place with Laboratory in the healthcare space, and went from a frontline job where I was a specimen processor, the very front line, all the way up through COO today, but a really fun journey in between, learning Six Sigma, a tool, a methodology, a philosophy around continuous improvement, using data, cross-functional teams. That taught me a whole lot in my career. Went into sales for about 10 years, and that was a connection to that problem solving and caring for people and wanting to kind of lean in and see how can I help you to do your business better. And then back into the operations side for the majority of my career in operations. I learned about Sonora Quest when I was in that operations role. I was working for Quest Diagnostics at one of our business units that performed a particular test that was really important. It was being launched. It was the prescription drug monitoring. We were the testing site, and there was this call one day from the franchise leader for that test, describing to me that there was a need to help this joint venture, Sonora Quest, that was going to launch the test and grow the business. Sonora Quest being Quest in the state of Arizona, but didn't really understand that. And so when I had that conversation with the franchise leader, Lori was her name, coincidentally. Yeah. Um, so I asked, so joint venture, what does that mean? Are they a part of Quest Diagnostics, meaning that all of our secrets, all of our information, I can share that with them freely? Or are they a customer, meaning, I'm kind of, here to serve and, want to make sure that what's delivered is representing the company in such a way that it's simple, easy for the customer to take that offering. And the answer was, oh, I don't know. You decide, you figure it out. And because joint ventures typically are a little bit challenging and confusing.
A bit of
Um,
worry when it comes to joint ventures, absolutely.
Absolutely. So in that time, my thought was just treat people the way I want to be treated. So that means, transparency, listening, asking questions, being as supportive as possible. And so, with that approach, I spent a year working very closely with key leaders in sales and operations at Sonora Quest. And at the end of it, it was a tremendous success. And this was back in 2014. So it was before we had the modalities, the channels that we have right now for communication. So it was really conference calls and just digging in each week to advance that project. So long story short, at the end of the year, it was very successful. They were growing. We were seeing growth at our company, their company, and we had an opportunity to meet face to face. I flew in from California to Arizona and was amazed to discover that not only were they bringing up this huge new test offering that had a lot of potential for in terms of growth, and they were in the midst of a laboratory information system conversion, which
Oh.
in our industry, exactly, your reaction is exactly right. That's something
I worked with
that,
a few hospitals that were in the midst of converting to, over here it's called Meditech.
that's it.
And it was,
Yeah.
yeah, so that was a challenging time.
Yes. So I was impressed that this group of leaders had such a focus on the project, but done in such a way that it was fun. There was camaraderie. There was an integrity, which is one of the values, but I saw it lived out. What they said was going to happen was going to happen. They
Love it.
so whether it be on the operations side with this LIS, Laboratory Information System conversion, or on the growth side, great collaboration. And I respected them, loved working with them, and continued the relationship in various roles that I had because I just saw something special there. I wanted to be a part. So fast forward, 2019 was the opportunity that the COO was retiring. I was interviewed. It was competitive, but I really felt like I had a glimpse into what makes Sonora Quest special, and I think that was a big part of being selected to be the new COO back in 2019. So that's my story about my journey and how I got to Sonora
Story you
Quest. And
were So much of your story provides glimpses of why they are able to attract and keep their
Mm-hmm.
existing people. Number one glimpse was when you talked about your career trajectory generally, how you started as a frontline worker, and that they invested in your growth and development all the way through to COO. So let's be
Mm-hmm.
honest, that in and of itself, a company that recognizes but also has the infrastructure to train and to grow that talent into these more senior positions is in and of itself impressive. Then you talked about what I'm assuming is kind of some form of mentorship where you were exposed, or even a high potential program, you were exposed to these leadership meetings. You were able to work with the leaders,
Mm-hmm.
get glimpses of how they collaborated and how kind of I want to say the mastermind behind the machine operates, because that
Mm-hmm.
in and of itself is also another glimpse of, if you're getting a taste of that, you're seeing this team of leaders collaborating, being extremely integral, really kind of walking the talk.
Mm-hmm.
I as a prospective employee or as a high potential, am already wanting to be a part of that permanently, right? So again, a glimpse of how Sonora Quest clearly understands how to grow that talent, that top performing talent, and how
Mm-hmm.
to help them and invest in them to help them develop throughout the organization. Then when you talked about just the COO position, the fact that the former COO was retiring
Mm-hmm.
was my final, like, okay, clearly they're doing something right, because I've seen, turnover in executive positions in most companies. When your COO is only exiting upon retirement, it
Mm-hmm.
again kind of
I
confirms that is right.
You are so right, Lori. The CEO, Dave Dexter, has been in the role for almost 25 years. The company had the 25th anniversary last year in 2022, and he is close to his 25th year with the company. Very uncommon. I talked about joint ventures. What I didn't share before is the average life of a joint venture is 7 years, and ours is 26 years this year. And
Impressive.
the CEO, as you alluded to, Lori, there's typically some churn at that level, and so to have both the COO and the CEO in the role for so many years is exceptional. You don't see that, and there's a secret. There's some intentional things that really differentiate Sonora Quest in terms of the culture, what we do, and how we do it, that have led to that type of seniority at the senior level, and actually even at the front line. Our laboratory is a high complexity, state of the art facility in the Phoenix, Arizona area. And we have many visitors, whether it be customers, government officials, payers. And whenever I facilitate a lab tour, I love taking the guest from department to department with a member of the team that does the job every day. They know it better than I do for sure. Talking about what they do and kind of bringing to light for the visitor laboratory and healthcare. And when they do that, one of the questions I ask right before they even start giving their spiel, if you will, is how long have you been with the company? And each and every time, department by department, man, woman, you name it, the tenure is long. We have very tenured employees. I can recall one of our microbiology managers who just retired from the manager position and stepped into a kind of on call. She's doesn't need the money, but enjoys still being engaged. She was 42 years in the role, as a part of the company. Certainly one that, similar to my career path, she grew through the organization, went to school, got her medical laboratory science training, and saw that the career path as a leader was one for her, and just thrived. And
Wow.
so just a tour and being asked by the people visiting,
Yeah.
tell me more about 42 years with the company. Paula is her name. And one of the things that Paula shared was it's like a family. She said she feels known, she feels supported. She has shared with me in the past a story of running into Dave Dexter, our CEO, in an airport in another state in the US. And he recognized her right away out of 4,000 employees and asked questions about where she was traveling and what was going on. And later, months later, kind of followed up and said, "Oh, that family visit, that issue that was going on, how'd that turn out?"
Oh,
So
that
that's
authentic,
being known. Yes, yes,
being
authenticity.
completely authentic. It is a family. You know, you said it,
Yeah,
she said it's like a family. It's not like, it is a family. You
right.
spend 8, 12, depending on the industry, sometimes 14,
Hmm.
16 hours a day with these people. It's
Right,
ultimately a family. So as a leader within any company, your job is to create that safe home space.
hmm, hmm.
I know there's a work injected word there somewhere. It is a work, but still, that safe home, that home itself, and that feel is your
Right.
company culture.
And I think that is truly the differentiator. It's not something that you take off the shelf. It
No,
isn't something that happens automatically. It's something that is an intentional focus each day, all day, every year, in every aspect, whether it be a frontline employee, like I said, a courier, a technologist on the bench, our executive leaders, our sales. We have to keep in mind that it's the people behind the process that makes the difference, and
absolutely.
that's how we create that sense of family, that sense that you belong here.
Absolutely. You belong, you're valued. It is intentional. It needs to be intentionally created throughout the year. It can't be a one and done. It can't be a cookie cutter. I read this article and we need to do this. No,
Right?
that's not how you approach a workplace culture, right?
No.
It's when you're shopping around for a house, you look at more than one. Well, guess what? That next generation of workers are doing the same with your
Right.
workplace. They're
Right.
shopping the houses. You're one of their houses that they're checking out. So
Hmm.
how are you going to differentiate yourself? And I love that you said it. The differentiator is to make it customized and making sure that
Hmm.
it actually meets the needs of your employees. And to that
Hmm.
point, I also heard secret sauce tip number one, folks. I guess the first ingredient in that secret sauce. All about analogies today, apparently. It's the COO of the organization is conducting some of the visitor tours.
Oh yeah.
That tells me that no, everybody can pitch in anywhere, that
Hmm.
nobody thinks they're above a certain duty. Nobody thinks that they're far beyond, kind of a certain role within the organization because they recognize that we're all part of the same purpose. We're all part of
Hmm.
that bigger picture. And to that point, I seen that right on your website when I was kind of perusing, of course, podcast hosts. We need to do a bit of research to make sure we know who
Hmm.
we're talking to and what they're about, and to make sure that we're really bringing in those valuable companies that are in fact doing great stuff. And on your career portal, the line, and I'm going to just look at my notes to make sure I do it full justice because I thought it was the most beautiful line to attract that next generation of workers. And on the career page, it said, "Find your purpose, your passion, you belong here." That one line was so powerful and speaks to your culture, whether intentional or not, which I'm suspecting was completely intentional, of showcasing that we see you. We
Hmm.
already value you before you even start. How
Absolutely.
about, you come see us and come apply to us? I mean, I'm not in the market for a job right now, but I have to say, like, it made me want to click and see what kind of opportunities existed there, right? Companies have
Perfect.
to get creative. But my
Hmm.
question to you, and you alluded to it several times, but I kind of would hope you can give us more specificity in terms of a lot of companies do that part really well. And
Hmm.
they've got a great marketing team and they're able to attract, they've got recruiters who are specialized in this, and they can craft a beautiful story. They can craft an enticing pitch. Where
Hmm.
they tend to fall short is it stops there. Once they've got the people coming in, they fail to intentionally, to use your language from earlier,
Hmm.
to intentionally create the experience that delivers on that pitch. So
Right.
can you tell me a bit more how Sonora Quest Laboratories kind of ensures that it is in fact delivering on helping people find their purpose and helping people find their passion?
Hmm. I would say there are so many that I'm going to kind of focus on the ones that speak to me the most. And if I realize I've missed some, I'll add those in. But what really speaks to me is listening. And I mentioned before that my background in training Six Sigma key principle is voice of the customer, or in this case, voice of the employee. Facts and data. Listen and ask questions about what's important to them. So we do that with our customers. We do that with our employees. We do that with our annual employee engagement survey. That is a chance to ask each person to fill in the prepared questions and comments to let us know in their own words what are their pain points, where are their opportunities. We're not perfect, and we want them to know that they are heard, that you give us the information about what's important to you and let that be a part of our action plans to address that. So a big part of kind of translating that promise of you belong here to how do we do it every day is getting that feedback from the employee engagement survey. It's in the way we train and equip our leaders. We have a program that our chief people officer, which I love that name. I mean, I don't know if other organizations have this most senior leader over human resources use that term, but I do love that. And what Lorraine is her name, what she developed and delivered to the organization is a journey leadership development training. And each journey focuses on the key aspects of being a leader, from the emotional intelligence, situational leadership, the core things that we need as leaders.
Equipping them.
Yes, and within those cohorts, they're learning together. The journey one starts at kind of the fundamentals and moves on up to journey three, which was focused on the 360 feedback and making sure that we know the competencies of leaders and really define them well and develop, and then beyond. So journey four and beyond starts to look at some of the things that really differentiate the high performing leaders to ensure that the knowledge gap that you, frankly, in an organization like ours, where many have grown up through the organization and had maybe the technical expertise, but some of the business acumen is something that we support to learn through our journey courses. So that's where we go. So that's kind of what we do for leaders. But then one of the other things we have is you might be a technical person. We have career ladders to take a person from a medical lab scientist 1 to 2 to 3. So there's a career progression. And yes, and so your technical skills, we're developing and offering that. But you may decide, well, do I want to get into management? Is that for me? We offer an Explorers Club. So there's this navigation theme. So the Explorers Club has job shadowing. So an individual can go, and if you're a lab person, you can go out with a salesperson and find out what that job is like. And then some of the key components of the journey courses that we teach leaders are sprinkled into that Explorers Club. So that person who is maybe a non-exempt frontline individual contributor can learn more about what it means to be a leader. So I really like that we have been very, again, using the word intentional, about recognizing that it's not rocket science, but there are some proven things. There's a secret sauce that leads to success as a leader, and we need to outline that and share that information and help others to make really informed decisions. So I'm super excited with the Explorers Club, where many of those individual contributors that thought they may want to be in leadership learned so much that they felt confirmed that that's their path, and they were promoted. So I love seeing that.
Some of them might have said, you know what? Now that I'm getting a bit of a realistic preview of what that job entails and what that kind of true picture is, I'm thinking I might want to hold off for a bit, right? I might want to hold and I love that you're giving them that opportunity, that option. So they're still feeling invested in developmentally, but
they're making an informed decision to use your
And in,
analogy earlier about house hunting, they are uh,
exactly, they're making
doing
an
their
informed
search.
decision.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, I want to go back to your employee engagement only because I want
Mhm.
to kind of marry it with yours talking about long tenured workers. Curious to know, there's other, like two other kind of key ways that we recommend, and I do mention them in the book on how to kind of gather that data you need to make, to our most recent point, evidence-based decisions, right? So do you also do stay interviews?
Oh, absolutely. Uh,
Those
they the,
are so powerful.
they are, and I can tell you, even with people that I've hired, the stay interview, and I typically try to use the recommended questions and just as a starting point, but certainly have learned so much with that as a key way for all of our leaders to recognize that going into it from day one, recognizing that that individual made a choice or decision. We said you belong here, and we want to kind of confirm that. I mean, I think that joke where someone, the old married couple, the guy says, "I told you I loved you 30 years ago." All right, just one time. No, that's something that you need to say and recommit and check in. And so the stay
Yeah,
interview to me is one of those check-ins with new employees to
absolutely.
confirm is what we said, what you expected. Are there any surprises, anything that we need to pivot or shift? So the stay interview is important as well as regular check-ins,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Regular
formal
check-in,
regular check-ins.
yeah, and scheduled, structured, so
Yes.
that we're holding our leaders accountable to actually conducting them. But also stay
Mhm.
interviews with the longer workers who've been around for, you set a benchmark, you say, okay, who's been around for over 10 years? Let's have
Mhm.
interviews with all of them to see what's going on, if they're still feeling the way they did in those first 5 years. That in and of
Mhm.
itself, sometimes the employee engagement survey will touch on some elements, but to dig a bit deeper, that longer tenured worker survey can be really powerful. It gives some insights that you didn't even know that you needed to be tending to. But on the
Right.
flip side, it also tells you what we're doing really well. And it tells them, we know you've been here this long. We still see you, and we want to keep improving for you. We want to keep understanding how to show up better for you. So let's have that conversation. And this is your dedicated time to do so, right?
Continuous improvement and
Absolutely.
learn from the best practice of the ones that are successful. We
Yes.
looked at our highest employee engagement score leaders and people with the lowest retention, lowest voluntary turnover, and said, "You're an elite group. Let us learn from you and
Mm.
put together a really good toolkit to help support new leaders so that they learn these best practices and replicate." One of the terms that I've used many times, I learned it years ago, steal shamelessly. I mean, it really is it's a compliment. Yeah.
It's a compliment. It's not that I'm a big fan of that, and I don't even call it stealing. It's replicating. I prefer that. It's
Replicating.
if it's not broken, and it's proven to be successful, and like it helped me improve on my current state. I'm going to start by replicating that for sure as a starting point, and then customize as you go to make sure that it resonates with your team. Right
And
from that. Oh, sorry. Go
that's what
ahead.
leaders do. That's what leaders do.
Exactly where I wanted to go next. The fact that you recognize the leadership, the importance of that journey, the importance of having it multifaceted and having a number of, it's not a one and done. When I built our leadership program, it was really about recognizing that too many of the leadership development programs out there were you take this course for maybe 2 weeks, maybe it's a 1 month kind of, and then you're done. We're leaving you to your own devices on the job. No, it's about training them, absolutely, giving them kind of that theory and helping to impart the methodologies and the whys and those skills, but then giving them
Mhm.
the opportunity to one, hone it by coaching
Mhm.
them and having this supported coaching program. And finally, the connection part, which sounds like you're doing amazing at by having them in cohorts, creating their own. One of the things we hear loud and clear from leaders is that it's a very lonely place to be. You're expected
Mhm.
to be that conduit between your senior leadership team and your direct reports, but you're not always comfortable going to your peers. So if you're able to connect your leadership team, I think that in and of itself will provide them that supported environment
Mhm.
and will inevitably lead to that higher level of collaboration, because there's that level of trust where, you know what, I'm feeling challenged with this, rather than kind of hole up and try and figure it out myself. I'm going to go to my peers and I'm going to find out how they've contended with parallel issues, right? So
Completely agree.
kudos kudos to you on this entire leadership kind of approach that your chief people officer has introduced. It is 100%, you're right. It's a secret sauce right there. Like, just to know that you can't just one and done it. You need to make sure they're supported and they're provided opportunity to test out these newly acquired skills and to work through some challenges so that next time when they encounter a similar challenge, they've got the skills, they've got the critical thinking abilities, the troubleshooting abilities to address and mitigate whatever that may be. Well, this has been an incredible conversation, but I'd like to keep it going just a bit more. And I want to give you an opportunity to showcase some of the wonderful things that Sonora Quest Laboratories has done, in addition to everything we've already talked about. Your company has received a number of awards over the years. I'm just wondering if there's one in particular that you're especially proud of, and just why is it that you're proud of that particular one?
I'm going to say there's two. I can't say just one. So I would start with being awarded the number one bioscience company in Arizona. That is impressive because it's been since 2012. Each year, each consecutive year, we've been recognized with that honor. And there are fierce competitors in that space, and it gives the distinction of being a lab, a healthcare organization that really comes up with strategy and vision for future success that has been proven year after year to stand out. And so our healthcare industry peers are great. And for Sonora Quest to have received that recognition each year is something that 11 years in a row, that's really something to be proud of.
Speaks to credibility and truly deserving.
Yes. And then the other one is more recent, but very important, and something that we're very proud of. I'm proud of our Greater Phoenix Chambers Impact Industry Innovator Award for 2023. We won that, and innovation is one of our values. And so to be identified as a leader, as the award recipient from the Greater Phoenix Chamber is fantastic. Very proud of that. So
Validates that you
two
walk the talk.
favorites. Yes,
Absolutely. It
yes.
validates that you walk the talk and that you uphold your values in everything you do. And that is shining through by being recognized for it, right?
And the awards, I mean, it's very nice to receive those awards, and I personally really identify with the significance of what we do. We have a moral imperative to do it right, to do it well, to be exceptional. 70% of diagnostic insights come from laboratory.
Hmm.
Not many people know that or realize that. They think, whether it be radiology or the physical exam with the doctor, they really rely on the insights that come from laboratory testing to make a differential diagnosis. And that is extremely important that we get it right. And the fact that we've been recognized in terms of our innovation and how we do it in the community just is something that is extremely important, because on the other side of every single patient sample, whether it be a biopsy or a tube of blood, is a patient, a family that's waiting to get information for their health, their life.
Mm-hmm. And recognizing that and
Yeah.
truly kind of weaving it into the fabric of all you do, and that future vision is
Mm-hmm.
really, really, really incredible. Again, the fact that you mentioned two awards that you received as a collective, that you received as an organization. I had noted the award that your leader, David Dexter, had got as the most admired leader, because that is impressive. But the fact that you kind of went straight to we're a team here, we're all in this together, let's talk about the awards that recognized us as a whole is really kind of par for the course when it comes to what I've gotten to know about your organization. So
Well, and
kudos.
and and I would say Dave Dexter, our CEO, has been awarded. You're right. There was just an announcement yesterday of another award that he's received, national awards. For a CEO to be in that role for the tenure that he has, the difference and the impact that he's made in healthcare across the board. Certainly during the pandemic, that was an area where his leadership as CEO put us in a position that we were able to help others within the state of Arizona, across the United States, and really do it in such a way that there was a lot of recognition and appreciation for what we did. So I'm very thankful that we have Dave Dexter as our CEO, and I am very happy for all the awards that he has earned,
Yes.
and know that what he has done in and through Sonora Quest is his legacy, and I'm super proud to be a part of that. And I know I have about 4,000 employees behind me. Also, I'm very proud of that accomplishment.
Absolutely. And when we initially met, you spoke very highly of David Dexter there as well. I think you
Mhm.
said you guys refer to him as Dex.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you were saying you shared a number of stories. Without getting into the stories, I would say that the collection of your career experiences to date, coupled with your experiences within this organization and others, if you had to talk about three attributes for true servant leadership, three attributes that really kind of differentiate a leader, a good leader, between a good leader and a great leader, what might those three be?
Great question. The first that comes to mind, and again, this is one of our values, but it's the most important for me. And I see it in Dave Dexter, I see it in other leaders that I admire, and that is integrity. Integrity is the bottom line. I would put that one at the top. Another attribute that I have seen in leaders that I emulate is courage. I really believe that the landscape that we're in presents challenges, and leaders can't be intimidated or faint of heart at all. They have to be willing to take on the big challenges, make the tough decisions, recognize that it's not easy. It's a calling. It's not something that everyone should do. I really truly believe that if you don't have the right passion and purpose and drive and reason, the right why for being a leader, then don't do it, because there are too many people that rely on you to do it with integrity, to be courageous. And the third that I've found, I guess, truly inspiring in the leaders that I have watched directly or even from a distance is they're gifted communicators. They're people that know how to not only cast the vision, but get others to understand what does it mean? How do I participate to tell a story in a compelling way that makes a person that is a janitor in a surgery room cleaning with purpose and passion, or another executive that can feel maybe burned out or maybe competitive, or I mean, you name it. There's just a lot of things that can get in the way, but the ability to recognize what the team, the organization, the external stakeholders need to know is important, and being able to communicate that effectively to accomplish the goals, the mission of the organization, whatever industry it is, whatever leader that I've seen do that well is one that I kind of lean in and ask more questions and want to understand more about them, because I think it's
Yeah,
extremely
how to
important.
it's how to get to that level of communication, right? So I love all three of your attributes. Definitely integrity is your first, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Second one,
I said be courageous.
courage.
Yes.
Courageous
I mean,
is not for the faint of heart. Being a good
right.
leader within, and I like that you suggested the current environment, and especially in
Mm-hmm.
healthcare, there's a bit
Mm-hmm.
of an adaptation having to occur right now as they try
Mm-hmm.
to recover from that
Absolutely.
crazy global crisis, right? And
Yeah.
the last one, an effective communicator, being able to
Mm-hmm.
create a vision, but understanding the importance of communicating it in a variety of ways to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that you're getting your entire team behind that vision. So you're working towards this collective vision, these collective results, which kind of loops us right back to the beginning when you were talking about purpose and impact. And I talked about the how do you walk that talk? And you just alluded to, and it reminded me of a story. Have you heard about that janitor at NASA who was cleaning? And just to say that NASA does it really, really well. And one of your presidents was visiting. And I say your president because I'm located in Canada. So one of the presidents was visiting and asked, "Oh, so what are you doing here?" And he said, "I'm helping to put a man on the moon."
That's right.
And I thought that was the most beautiful thing, because that is clearly an organization who understands the value and the importance of communicating that purpose and that impact.
I completely agree. And that's how you get the buy-in. I mean, there's a lot of work to be done. And if every person on the team recognizes what they're doing, why it's important, and how to communicate to each other, to others, to themselves, because sometimes it gets tough and you have to know, I'm in this for a good reason and I'm going to continue to deliver on that commitment because I believe in it. I believe that leaders can help inspire greatness in each of the people that they are responsible to lead an organization.
I agree. I 100% I'm on the same page as you with that one. And I think they must inspire greatness, right? Help your team members recognize the potential, but then coach them into stepping into it and actually bring it to fruition. So thank you, Sonya. This has been an amazing conversation. Sonora Quest Laboratories, truly in the top of the top, as far as I'm concerned, in terms of creating that culture, that unicorn culture that not only will attract, but will also keep their people. You shared so many great insights, so many tips, tricks, and strategies. If there was like one nugget of wisdom that you could leave our audience with today, what might that be?
There's a quote that comes to mind, and it's in part, you touched on it, Lori. We've all had a tough few years with the pandemic. And one of the quotes that I've found personally inspiring, and it's something that I've found true in my life, is it's about attitude. And Chuck Swindoll had a quote that says, it's 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it. And I truly believe that we all have challenges. It's something that is a reality of life, but we have as individuals, whether it's a leader or an individual contributor, a choice. And our attitude is something that we fully control, and we can contribute greatly in our communities, in our society, in our companies, in our work group, when we have an attitude that is one that, whatever the circumstances are, I can make a difference. And I have been so blessed through my entire career to have lots of different circumstances, but in each instance, I've found that an attitude that recognizes that I can contribute, that we can together get through it and make things better, gets me out of bed. It makes me jump out of bed and grab that cup of coffee and take on the day.
And figure out what's that difference I'm going to make today.
Yeah.
Right?
That's right.
Love it. And when to use a really cheesy healthcare analogy, when you're on a heart monitor, you've got blips and ups and downs. If we parallel that to life, you're never really truly living if it's a straight line.
Good point.
There's always going to be those ups and downs. So, take those ups and downs and make the choice to create this from them.
Well said.
Thank you,
Lori.
Sonya. Thank you so much for
I've enjoyed the conversation. Thank you so much, Lori.
Truly did as well. Listeners, as I always say, of everything you've heard today, if there's one thing you can take away and put into action the minute you're done listening, I need you to go ahead and do that. If you liked what you're hearing, please do subscribe, share, and make sure to amplify this message so we can create as many happy and thriving workplaces as possible. Well, folks, thanks for joining us for yet another enriching conversation. To hear more about today's guests, make sure to check out the links in the description of this episode. Want to continue the conversation? Then head on over to our social media platforms, all of which are also linked in the description, to keep it going. Finally, don't forget to subscribe to make sure you don't miss another valuable episode.